Previously on Just Press Play with Elle and Trey.
Just press play with. Oh fuck!
Elle.
I forgot my.
Damn, she forgot her own name.
Michael Snipes here.
Michael.
People are having these favors and going to parties and trying to escape things of dealing with them in a therapeutic sense. And they're just zoning out just to numb themselves.
You know who I thought could be a great sponsor is like Fleet, like the Fleet Enemas.
You're watching Just Press Play with Elle,
And Trey.
and we're back for part 2 of our interview.
Yes, with Michael Snipe. It's cuffing season.
It's cuffing season.
So
What is cuffing season?
what is cuffing season?
It is the season when you tell yourself, I gotta get out here and take this hot girl summer off
Yeah.
and pull on this polished person. You gotta get a partner.
Well,
Everybody's
you know
trying to get a partner. And you know why I want a partner? I want to bring somebody to the Christmas function for once. I want someone to be like, you're doing too much.
Yeah.
All right, put that down. We're going to leave. That'd be
It
nice.
started as kind of like after, well, we're getting ready for Halloween or like pumpkin picking and having someone to take a photo with.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it started as.
Really? 'Cause
Having-
that was my interpretation, like cuffing season. I've literally heard it described as get you a boo for Thanksgiving and break up before Valentine's Day.
That's, yeah.
Like,
You heard that from a Toxic Beach.
Is
Oh,
that-
right after.
like, is this a joke?
It's foolish.
This
Am
has
I a
to-
joke
this
to
has-
you?
Like, this has to be a joke.
Yeah. That's foolish.
But, people are out here in these streets, especially in these streets of New York City. A lot of other major metropolitan cities are probably the same, trying to find a partner. And everyone is saying it's too hard for many reasons. That's why you're here, because we have questions for you.
Yeah.
Trey, take it away with the first question while I
Yeah.
look at these questions.
I think just to like also further just give people a sense of who you are, why we're talking to you about this topic is if you could just give us a little bit of background about your career as a dancer and a teacher and talk about how you went from having success in that realm to such a profound like career shift and how you navigated that.
Career shift to
Therapy.
therapy.
I mean, it sounds cheesy, but I've always listened to the universe, right? When I left Baltimore, I came to New York City on a full scholarship to Juilliard, and the blinders came off. I just saw the world, and I was like, okay, I want to do this. It's a conservatory for dance, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I did that. I had such a successful career, like nothing really was left behind, no crumbs, as the kids say. And then, once I realized I could not do the things that I used to do the way I liked to do them, because I can be a bit of a perfectionist, I realized, okay, teaching would be better suited for me. I'm still in the field, but now I'm mentoring kids. And I thought, let me get to at-risk kids. So I moved to Chicago, and I was teaching on the South Side just to help kids, get in touch with the arts at an earlier age, because I started late. So I was like, let's get to those kids early. So I did that for a long time. And while I was teaching, I was doing parent-teacher conferences, and I would see a shift in my students when they were sitting in front of their caregivers. I would see a totally different person. And I didn't have the vocabulary to understand. So once the pandemic happened, I was like, these kids are going to need something more than just a teacher and a mentor. So I went back to school, went to Mercy, and I got my master's in behavioral sciences because of the George Floyd, because of Trump, because of everything that was going on, the temperament of the world. I thought the universe needed more people like us in that white space, which is therapy. And here I am.
Right. It sounds like the circumstances of the times
Just pushed
kind
me.
of aligned with
Yes, very much so.
I don't know. Yeah, how you were feeling and what you felt like you could potentially contribute.
Yes.
Where you were already working. So as we were talking about like cuffing season, I think something that is like heavily associated with cuffing season is these sort of like temporary relationships or even situationships where you have one person wanting something, or essentially, like you were saying, a lack of communication about like what each other needs.
Yes.
Do you feel like there is such a thing as a healthy version of what we see in cuffing season?
I think so, yes. I do. I think so, yes. I think culture is a big part of it. I think to be afforded the ability to speak what you want is something that most people don't get or don't feel like they have. They need permission. They feel like I need to just keep this peace and be happy instead of let me speak to what I want and then let's deal with it instead of internalizing it and then it just snowballing. So if you're in a situationship, do both parties know that it's a situationship? Right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes one person doesn't. So one person's like in their life, they're planning all these summer plans, and the other person's like, I'm out of here in February. So
Oh my God.
Right. So, but I think knowing what you're in is important.
That's like, I guess that speaks to what intentional dating is when you have, like, I guess, a roadmap of what expectations you have for yourself and for the other partner. Where does a person start before you even get on the apps or go looking, go hunting? What is, like, I guess a good mindset to be in beforehand?
Yeah. Lauryn Hill said, how you going to win if you ain't right within? Right?
Fuck.
You got to make sure you happy, right?
Yeah.
Most people we meet at the club, they're running from something, right? So you're falling in love with this person who don't even remember your name. I think knowing where you are, what you need, what you got going on before you then grab onto somebody else's trauma. So, yeah, I think making sure that you are present in what's happening, not emotionally trauma bonding with someone else.
Right.
Speak on it. Emotionally trauma bonding.
Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about this in terms of New York being a place where people like to go out and party, and it's unclear about when one ever really stops. Do you think that New York specifically is a place where it can be more difficult to find people who, know where they're at, to date, to find a meaningful relationship? And like, has your personal experience with that sort of shaped your perspective?
Yeah.
I'm worldly.
Yeah.
I've lived in Paris. I've lived in LA. I've lived in Chicago. And I'm from Baltimore originally. And I've lived here the longest. It's hard everywhere. As a gay man, as a gay black man, as a gay openly, queer man, it's the same. It's just in a different place. The same apps are there. Same social media platforms are there. The same circuit parties are there. So it's the same boys jumping from metropolitan bubble to metropolitan bubble. So until we step out of the bubbles, we're just circulating the same damn guys. We have guys in common. I mean, this big ass world we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're saying it's hard, but we're just rotating the same guys.
Because the culture is the same.
Culture
really.
is the same.
Yeah. But there's people outside of those things like apps, outside of going out to the bars, going out to the clubs, going out.
True.
We don't know how to reach them. We don't know if they want to be reached.
We do. Okay, we do, because those people often stumble into our bubble.
By accident.
Okay, by accident. But
Yeah.
we did the same thing. We stumbled into it at one point.
Yeah.
We stayed. They stumbled in it, and we're at a different place than they are.
Yeah.
So now we're trying to, get them to join us, or are we trying to calm down? So it's that push and pull.
That's true. And I can speak to my own like personal experience. Just recently I was dating someone, and I have to play like a devil's advocate with my time and what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like to go out to a lot of parties a lot anyways, just because 9 times out of 10 I don't want to like do all of I don't want to buy a ticket. I don't want to have to
Big
work.
parties.
Big parties. No, big parties. No, but I'm a hole in the wall type of bitch. If you got $7 and a Tecate and a tequila shot, honey, you might catch me out there for a little too long.
That's probably why I never see you out.
Yeah, because
That is the anti-me right there.
Yeah, she's summer drinking bleach and laughing with people she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I also I'm also like a home person. I like to like build and decorate and go on hikes. I like to like even keel it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be too recluse because that is hard. It's a big city, and I really do lean on my social network and my chosen family because I like to be a social person. I like to meet new people. That's important to me. And there's, some people don't have that caliber of leaving and engaging with other people. And I don't know, it's hard in the dating scene to find balance.
I have quite a few gay couples, because I really want to be this for our community. And 80% of them are in this struggle of, you need to grow up. The club is not forever.
Yeah.
And the other one's like, that's our community. It's, it's this. So it's this push and pull. When do we leave? When do we do the work outside of that?
Yeah.
Well,
what about, also, okay, fine. We all are growing older. We all are maturing. But
speak for yourself.
Baby, and you won't tell, and you won't clock the T. But listen, is it as maturing and growing older, do we immediately write these certain things off, or again, do we okay, well, we don't do this now, but on vacation, do I have to pretend to be a demure girl, or can I go?
My thing is, because I feel like you attract the energy that you put out. So my friends, a lot of whom will say they don't want a club girl as a man, but yet all you do is go to the club looking for the man. And then you expect then you expect that when you find him, that y'all are both just gonna stop behaviors.
Yeah, you're gonna lock hands. Y'all both gonna walk out of the party together and be like,
right, and everyone's gonna cheer.
Oh, it's okay. You're like, that one.
Work, bravo.
That one's
right,
done.
confetti.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's funny. I always speak to these guys, and they're like, I want somebody to make me delete the apps. I want someone to take me out of the club. I'm like,
they want you. You want someone to take you off the street.
But that's it. You meet them and you're happy. So now I can delete the apps. We're good. But okay. I have a thing with my friends that they disappear when they're in a relationship. No texting. They're at the club. Nothing. When the relationship goes to shit, they're like, hey, when we going out again? I'm like, hey,
girl.
Hey, sister.
Hey, bestie.
I'm like, girl, what happened?
What happened? There's a lot of people who complain that they don't really know how to safely engage with open relationship couples. That's been one of the things that we've been finding on the internet.
Among friends too. I feel like you even talked about an experience you had with this.
I've had only awkward experiences to the point where I'm like, oh, you got y'all. Okay, well, catch me when I'm feeling like the door's open. But right now the door is closed. And we even have a relationship counselor saying that it's a 50-50 break between couples that are comfortable in a monogamous relationship and couples that are comfortable and successful in an open relationship. Yeah. But then I guess the question is, how does a single person navigate dating where I can say for myself, when I log on to Grindr now at 35, because a lot of the demographics are my age or younger, and I don't really date younger. Everybody's got somebody. They're in an open relationship and they're happy. And I'm not faulting them. I ain't saying nothing negative, but it can be a little bit difficult to figure out, this is supposed to be a dating app. If it ain't Sniffies, hey Sniffies.
Hey Sniffies, you could be sponsored. We can sponsor you too.
If it's not Sniffies, when I do Tinder, Hinder, Facebook, Hinder, whatever the next new app, Bender, Crazy, whatever the next,
the truth.
Whatever the next app is. Whenever I do that, my expectations sometimes are like, even if it's just a hookup, I hope you're single so I can fantasize about it. What is a safe way of navigating open relationship spaces as a single person, especially here in New York City?
Respect your fucking self.
Okay.
No, I mean that's me being fierce, but you have to set boundaries for yourself. Yeah. Right? I do think in therapy we talk about triangles a lot. And in these situations, you're being triangulated into a situation. Knowing what that situation is important, right? Because there's always one person in that relationship that's doing most of the work. The baiter, and then the person that, is just, okay, bring them to me. But oftentimes, one of them is wanting this more. Yeah. So you're this new, fresh thing that is probably coming in to save the relationship or end the relationship.
Fresh.
So, but I do think setting your boundaries, right? If this is what it is, I'm messing with the both of you, right?
Yeah.
I'm not messing with you and keeping secrets from this person, and because we'll talk about secrets and privacy. Like, do we understand the difference between that? We're talking about relationships.
And then, like, I guess also too, I guess a second part of that question is like, in setting boundaries, are we dating, or does your partner know? Are you comfortable with you dating? Because a lot of times you'll find yourself with one partner sometimes, and the other partner is doing their own thing or not in the picture at the moment. But like in theory, like if it goes past like bedroom or sex, hanging out and building these false narratives with someone that's single and the person that's in an open relationship, it's like, okay,
what do you want? Why are you asking them, the person in the relationship? What do you want? You know what I'm saying? You're asking them, are we doing, like,
what's going on?
They're in a relationship.
Yeah.
So what is it that you want?
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Okay.
You're giving it to this person who probably just like the pudding, you know?
But if I get invited out to dinner, do I say no? Because you
What
know
do
what
you
to
want?
eat. I want to eat the food.
Go and eat,
Okay.
right?
But don't get my hopes up, is what you're saying.
Right, but I think it then becomes a situation where it starts to feel like something else.
Yeah.
And then we set boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay. And boundary means no more what?
That's it. Like,
That's
so
No
we want to
dinner.
make sure that also we know the couple's boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? Some people don't do repeat things. Some people don't do dating things. Like,
Yeah.
you are just sex for us. Unless there's communication on making it a throuple.
Okay.
Or they're polyamorous. Or maybe they're monopoly. Right? There are all these
Terms.
in which
Yeah.
you need to understand what's happening.
I guess the safe thing to do would be like to kind of talk about boundaries, I guess, in the beginning.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. of
So
course.
when you on little Finder, be like, okay, I noticed that you're in an open relationship. What are your boundaries?
I would have sex first.
Okay.
Right? And
Get
if
that
it's something
nut.
that you're vibing with and he's like, oh, I like this, or we like this, we'd like to see you again, then we can have the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Speaking of the dating apps too, it's like I saw there was some sort of infographic that just showed the different ways that people in relationships meet.
Mm-hmm.
And over, in the 80s, I believe, like nobody was meeting online.
But there was no online. I saw it. It was at the bottom, and you saw it
Just skyrocket to like 80%, I
Yeah.
think, or something like that.
Over time, like,
over 90%.
oh,
to-
but
to
It was
today.
like church, it was school, it was work,
Yeah.
because there was no internet.
Yeah.
Once the internet got jumping, whew, it took off.
and the club was jumping.
Ladies and young-
Jumping.
I guess this is also just my personal perspective about how it turns dating and relationships into a sort of game that doesn't necessarily lend itself well to finding meaningful connection. I guess I'm just curious about your perspective on dating apps, and if you think that we even need to get past them, or how like you feel is the path towards more meaningful romantic connections.
I think they serve a purpose. They do. They serve a purpose, but you can't let that take all the work out of joining, out of meeting someone, right? Because what that does, if you're just there,
Swiping left.
not even swiping, you're picking out all these pointers in which we could have had a conversation. Because that's what it's doing, is taking this away from it, right? So then you meet, you're like, okay, I know you're bottom, blah, 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 blah. So then what are we talking about? How do I get to know you? Well, it's in my bio. Like, then there's none of this.
I hate when people say that. It's in my bio. When someone tells me to go back and read their bio, I'm like, okay, well then we don't.
Well, yeah, and so it's difficult to have that human interaction, which you keep bringing up better health, and I'm not trying to shit on it, but there's nothing like human connection.
Yeah.
And it's also, I've realized more and more that what I thought I was attracted to physically is only part of the equation.
Yeah.
To where like I'll meet people now and there's something intangible about them that's not necessarily based on looks that makes me like drawn to them.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I feel like is completely erased when
It's just
you're
online.
limited to dating apps.
Yeah. Well, I just realized I'm scatterbrained because as soon as I see a big butt, I'm like, oh, they could be a good partner. And then I'm like, oh, wait, let's take a step back. What else? What?
That can be very distracting.
Yeah, very
have to say.
distracting. Don't do that.
You can't walk into the party butt first.
But-
That can't be all you have, and that's a big issue because now everybody knows how to have a butt.
Yes.
These
True.
gym, they're like
People are-
you know, and I'm like, okay.
It's their personality. And
Or
I
you can
talk-
just pick one up at the store now.
you can go buy yourself a butt at the store. There you go.
It's like first dates, you got to take people swimming. Because then the hair falls off, the makeup. I mean, because everybody is enhanced.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little something with everybody.
Yes.
We going swimming on the first date.
We're going swimming. And the first thing is like, oh my God, why my mustache running? Just kidding. Sometimes I fill it in and I'm like, this is dumb. In what ways has your expertise in relationships influenced your own connections and personal insight?
I over communicate now.
I love that. I like that. That's like an example.
But to my detriment, because now I go to places like Brazil and they're just like, you talk too much. Yeah, and I get it.
Wait,
right now,
are they talking enough? Or are you doing
I'm probably talking
exactly
too much. Like I'm at a sexy party, I'm like, go shut up. You know, you have to know where I am sometimes, but I then tend to talk too much. But it's also, I do think it is coming out of the pandemic. I said I'm now having you knew me when I was like this partier. It was no problem for me to step in, but now I'm just like, okay, I got to go to this party. I'm having a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
But now I'm overly talking, and it's just, you know, because again, my shift in desire for men has changed tremendously.
Yeah.
So it's just push and pull.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 47 on the 20th, Sunday.
Shut the fuck up. Black is really not cracking. I have something to look forward to. Clara Huxtable over here. It's going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. Nothing to worry about. That's amazing.
It's also interesting, too. I didn't think about this, but I have a client who is 49, and his biggest anxiety is putting his age on these apps because no one goes to 50, he thinks.
That's not true.
But this is his anxiety, it's his fear. And I'm just like, wow, I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Because you know what? This is what I would say. When I first, I'll be open about it. When I first found out that I was HIV positive, I never put that on my profiles or my apps. A part of me was like feeling a little bit of shame, and there was a lot of stigma around it. It was negative. And this was years and years and years ago. But as I would, date people and meet them, and I got to a point where I would try to tell people on the first date, so I didn't have to I didn't let it linger. There was maybe a few times where I faced a little rejection, and a part of me said that, just because it's the first date, you wouldn't have your hopes up. But I would walk away being like, well, you kind of still had your hopes up, versus you had the opportunity to just put it in your app. Put it on your profile. You could have easily avoided that. Yeah. Or the person, it's the dog next door. What is that? I could have put it on my, app or my profile, and it would have been avoidable. Mm-hmm. So I say with, people who are like, oh, my age, whatever. But hey, weed them out early. If you don't want to talk to me because I'm positive, then you don't have to hit me up. And baby, living in Miami at the time, no one had any education around HIV or STI, so I was always avoided, of course. But when I did meet genuine people, you're welcome. But it helped me when I started putting it on there, and I did meet genuine people. When I would still talk about it, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that on your profile." I appreciate, one, someone read my profile, and two, you didn't care enough.
Normalizing it.
Yeah, and it's normalizing. So age. Kinks, your status, put that stuff on there, because if they don't like it, then they won't speak to you. You won't have to face negativity or backlash. I feel like that's just my personal opinion.
It was a big deal in 2020. A lot of the apps were forced to take off certain things because people were putting what they were into, and it was very racist. So they took them off.
Yeah.
You couldn't say whites only, blacks only, Hispanics. You could, because it was getting real racist.
Not preferency, it's racist.
I wish they would, though.
What?
So I
Put
can
it back
just
on?
I want to know.
Yeah.
But
Who's
what
racist?
Oh, I see.
I feel like there's a thin line between love and hate, and there's a thin line between who your preference and who you're typically attracted to, and then fetishizing someone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Very
Because
thin line.
if you're saying I only have sex with black guys, and you're a white guy, and that's the only person you only have sex with, that to me falls in the category of fetishism, in my book.
I'd be interested in knowing what it is about the black man, like
Yeah.
his black dick or his right. So I think once we get into that, I understand the fetishization.
Yeah.
But
If I see BBC on your profile, I'm just not. I mean, are we talking about the network?
I'm screaming.
Honestly, I get skeptical anytime I see, and it shouldn't be this way, but if a white person has like Black Lives Matter in their profile, where I'm like, honey, I think you misspelled BBC.
Oh, come on.
That's how because
covert ally.
right. I see what you did. I see what you're doing, bitch.
That's fierce.
But no, I'm curious what your perspective is on that. I think because I've thought about this too, in that let's say, like you said, there are plenty of black people who are only interested in other black men for probably similar reasons that we would say if it's a white person, it's fetishizing. So like, what is the difference then between like a black person who loves blackness and a white person who does?
Yeah. A few things come up for me. Like if it were reversed, right? If it were you saying this about them, like, so we're saying, I only want to date black men, right? So then if a white person says, I only want to date black men, you're saying the same thing.
Right.
You said date.
Right, date. I'm talking about
date.
dating.
Yeah.
Right? So it's about the intent, but also why say it? Why do I have to go around saying, this is all I want? You know, like, okay, you can let the proof be. Just do what you need to do. Don't go screaming it to everyone.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm not usually into black guys, but, it's my lucky day. You know? So, right?
Just make
like,
all right.
but no, it's I've learned you have to just step outside and, okay, how does this sound?
Yeah.
If you were saying it, okay, that's then what it sounds like. You know, I think I understand wanting to be with a black man because it's our experience. Like, you don't know what I've been through as a non-black person, so it's difficult. But also with black men, you know what I've been through, so it's difficult. So
right,
it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're talking about that a little bit too. It's just like how difficult it can be as black men, like all the barriers that or all the things about the black queer experience that make our lives harder, just in general. And then add on top of that trying to date.
The individuality of each we're all like have our own individual experiences to the point where like in one in a million it literally is like everyone's have a different experience from adolescence to where we are today in our own journey with being a gay, queer, black person. Like
that's the whole thing. I mean, you're never going to meet the perfect person.
No.
Right? So what am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to grow with? You know, Betty Wright, if you know Betty Wright, no pain, no gain. You know, I was learning my man while I was earning my man. Something you young girls might not understand because now they're just jumping the gun. You did what? I'm out of here. Instead of like, okay, we are two very separate individuals who have very separate pasts and trauma. We are both going through something. So what are we bringing to this? Because most times we are responding with past hurt versions of ourselves, these unhealed parts in situations that, have nothing to do with my current relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
So then you're just setting yourself up for failure constantly. So we have to understand, okay, who's responding to right now? What is this about? It's not about the turkey. It's not about the dishes. Right. So understanding that you are two very separate people and you're going to have issues and struggles. What's putting in the work look like for you?
Yeah. You said something about like secrecy versus privacy. And I think I can also speak for myself. Just jealousy is something that I have tried to like wrestle with in my own relationships. But taking into account those two things with your couples, like what are some like common things that you hear that couples sort of struggle with? Is it those two things, or are there more?
Oh yeah, there's definitely more. So in terms of secrecy versus privacy, because we all think we want the truth until we get the truth.
Oh,
Everybody wants honesty until they get honesty.
oh,
So having secrecy versus privacy is very important, right? Privacy is your privacy, right? If there's no malice, if there's nothing damaging here to our relationship, fine. You go ahead and watch that porn. You go ahead and let them DM you, right? But that's the thing. A lot of people can't get past that. They can't get past the fact that you went to the club and you got somebody's Instagram. That's all it was.
yeah.
That is all it was. But now you are pulling at some spool of thread that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So what I like to offer to you, and I'm wondering if you've heard the term compersion.
No.
And compersion is the opposite of jealousy. It is actually showing joy in your partner meeting people and being with people.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yes,
Yeah.
compersion. It is a beautiful thing, and it's mostly in polyamorous relationships. But we've been offering it to couples. Like, be happy that your partner has a friend, has friends. Like, what is this jealousy coming from? What is this about? And that's when we start talking to those unhealed versions of yourself. Somebody hurt you when you were a kid. You saw your mom and your dad fighting. So that has nothing to do with this, with your relationship. So don't make it a part of it.
Yeah, I've always kind of felt like being in a monogamous relationship specifically has an inherent form of possessiveness.
Yeah.
To where like I'm yours, you're mine, we're in love, like no one else is.
It's funny. I used to go into all relationships open because I'm a bit polyamorous, but for me, I'm now going into them just because for me, my attention span is better when I'm like with this person. My erection's better. My options are less. So I'm like, it's about this person.
And there is something very romantic about that too. Yeah.
It is. I wholeheartedly agree. But also, when you tell me I can't do something,
Makes
that's
me
what
want
the
to do
fuck
it
I'm gonna
more.
do.
Yeah. It's like when you're a little
It
kid.
like literally lights a fire with
Right,
you.
you're like,
You're like, oh, I really want to do it now.
Right. But
Fuck
the second we take the allure off, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
That's how it should be in life. Like, if you really don't want a person to do something, don't bring it up. Don't put like a cap on it. Be like, okay, well,
Yeah.
we're gonna vibe out.
But what is that? Again, you get curious. What is that about? Why do you need that that pound of flesh from me? Why? Why do you think you need to say that and make that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you worried?
Or are you doing it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I know go ahead.
Oh,
I'm kind of going a little bit off script right now just because like things are coming up.
do you enjoy it? Are you having fun and going off script? Because I'm like, wait.
I'm enjoying it, Trey. I'm enjoying it.
No, I used to be one of those people in like college where like everyone was like on the same page in class, and I'm just in the back like this, like.
I'm enjoying it. Go ahead.
Well, we wanted to take a question from a viewer.
Okay.
And the question was from one person: how do you offer support when there's a gap in sexual experience between partners?
I mean, I would lead in with curiosity, as in, like, why? What is the feeling behind this? You would speak to what it matters. I mean, that sounds kind of harsh, but I create a space for this person to feel comfortable speaking to that insecurity. Like, what is this about, right? Why? What are you lacking here? Is there something missing? Is this just an irrational fear?
Yeah.
Is this something that really is bothering you? That's a container for their feelings. Because I think, is that going to be something that creates a rift in your relationship? Because that's when the problems start to happen. We're making something big that doesn't need to be big.
Yeah.
So we just create a space for them to talk about what it is that they're feeling, right? Or do you not trust your partner?
Yeah.
Do you not think that you are enough for them? That's because they had a more extensive relationship, sexual history. Just addressing that fear or insecurity.
All right. Well, viewer, you now have your answer.
Yeah, I hope that was helpful.
I hope that was helpful for you. That was very helpful for me.
Yeah,
Trey, do you have another question, girl?
I do. But it seems like a big part of your advice is rooted in like the communication of it.
Yeah.
But the thing that came to mind when we started talking about jealousy a little bit is about my own personal feelings of jealousy when it comes to open relationships or like even threesomes with your partner and things like that. Because I know in my mind, if we're strong in our relationship, like this sort of flesh body like interaction, like sex with another person isn't or shouldn't necessarily be a threat to the bond that we have that goes beyond sex. But I know that I still, in my heart of hearts, end up feeling very jealous. And I guess wonder what advice you have on what to do with those feelings, even though you know, like I know it's irrational.
Don't pretend that you're not jealous.
Okay.
Talk about it, because everyone is a little bit jealous. Everyone, to see your partner with someone, if you're just like, that's also different. But talk about it. Like, don't pretend it doesn't exist, because sitting in it then starts to manifest other places. There's resentment and contempt. But speak on it. Bring it to the table. And you use things like I feel statements, so we're not accusing this person of doing something, right? So you're offering your feelings about something. And you're saying, I know that we're strong. I know that nothing good, but this feeling does come up for me sometimes. And your partner, if they're a good partner, will just reassure you.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
It was just some barbecue sauce. Why are you so jealous? I don't know.
Right. I don't know that one either.
But also, when partners have those situations where they're with couples, or they're in a couple and they bring people in, they always say, if ever this isn't going how we want it to go, we end this. Right? If ever I'm feeling like you aren't connected or you are, or I am, we end this. This is about us, not this person. So again, boundaries and setting those moments up.
Right.
Yeah. And that's always awkward for that person because I've been there.
I have been on all parts of that.
You need to get your shit and leave.
Where it's just like,
Ooh, yeah.
I should probably go.
Oh.
You ever caught someone, you heard them arguing in the other room, and you're like,
Grab my stuff again.
I was like, let me get my,
I've laid there like,
where's my panties?
I'm here for the mess. And one of them have left, and we just continued. But it's, if they're not connected, then,
And sometimes that's okay.
it
Yeah.
is.
Like if you're not feeling it, that's fine. Everyone, I think it's hard to have an expectation that three different individuals are all going to have a chemistry that just goes well together, especially during sex.
Yeah.
And no shade, that's also some people's MO in a relationship. They're
What?
hot-headed. They fight. They do that thing.
That's the thing they do.
They bring somebody in, and they have fierce with them, or they're back together at the club the next day. You're like, y'all.
Y'all really have me out there.
But that's why when you are single going into it, you have to know
Yes.
that that's the bullshit that they on.
Yes. And that's another thing. Just in general, because you brought up communication, quite a bit, and it's really important. And you work with couples.
Yeah.
When is it a good time to go ahead and seek that couples counseling? When to bring it up? What's a good breaker point for okay, maybe it's time that we go and talk to someone to address some of the issues that we've been having
Right now.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying don't wait for the breaker.
Yeah.
Don't wait for most people come in when there's nothing wrong.
Okay.
Remember I said we're coming into these relationships with all this baggage, all these unhealed parts that we don't really know exist. We've compartmentalized. We've packed them away so nicely. And then something happens and we're triggered in our relationship. And then now we act indifferent, or now something's up. It doesn't have to be a big identifier, but that's why it's nice to be in couples counseling, even when you think things are going well. Don't wait until you got a fight or someone cheated or go. Just
to talk some things out.
Yeah, I know. Before my last relationship ended, I was like, it's to the point where I don't even think we need to go, girl.
It ain't gonna work.
It was too late, honey.
I would like to add a little something.
Yes, please.
Just about cheating.
Okay.
Because I have ADHD. Anyone else?
Yes.
So people, did you know? Did you know that people with ADHD tend to cheat?
Yes.
Because impulsivity is a big symptom. So we can't really sometimes stop the impulse to do these things.
Yes.
So you have to really be careful in knowing what you have, because you're like, I don't know why I'm like this. I don't know why I'm doing these things. And you could just have ADHD.
Can you please come back? Do you know a lot about ADHD?
I mean,
can you please come back? Because also, like, that same impulse is what makes people broke. Like the impulse of like buying to fill that happy void, or it makes it's. I think it plays a big factor in. This is a whole nother conversation. We're not gonna go that far. It also plays a factor in communication, because I think, from my own experience, having ADHD has made communicating very difficult.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, bitch. Not only did you have a conversation in your head, you never returned that text message, and you caught an attitude about the whole thing. Wow.
Yeah.
Oops.
If I'm sitting here and the bathroom's there, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll get up, I'll grab my phone, and I'll get on Instagram. And I'll walk to the kitchen. I'll stop at the fridge. Forgot I had to use the bathroom, and I'm like, come back. Oh shit, I got to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
But it's insane.
Yeah.
So it's knowing, because I was undiagnosed until 2020.
Me too.
Yeah. So knowing these things about yourself helps to alleviate some of the things that you're fighting through.
It honestly helps alleviate stress, depression, anxiety. It doesn't make it dissipate, but to be diagnosed, and I encourage everyone, if you think that you might have it, you never know. There could be cognitive behavioral training that you can do. You don't got to always think that you need medication, but there could be little things and tricks and methods to helping yourself cope and get through it, versus not knowing and everything's a fucking mess in your life, bitch.
Yeah. I say practice self-compassion and be grateful to, just graciousness. Because, you aren't a cheater. You aren't a bad person. There's something going on. This is deeper than you think it is.
I love that. You just made me almost want to cry. This is like church for me. I'm not a bad person. I'm not.
Turn to that mirror. You are a good man. You have to speak to yourself in a way that makes you want to take on the world. If we're always saying the negative things that we don't like about ourselves, my rent's due, or ... Okay, that's not going to change.
Yeah.
Right. But you know what? I'm going to have a good day. Let me get out and take a walk. Like, I in doing this, speaking to the universe in this way has helped me so much.
It's the power of manifestation.
It's the truth.
It works. You just gotta really lean on it, but it works.
Yeah. Well, since we opened that can of worms,
No!
honestly, okay, this is my last question. My last question. Okay. So this may
Personal
be
therapy for him.
Yes, girl.
Get your calculator out and start calculating how much she owe you after this.
Personal therapy for this one.
No, but this one I think is more. This is the episode, but this is also my question. Okay. I feel like maybe the pessimist in me, as I've gotten older, have started to really understand more about like the dynamic of romantic relationships, and see relationships that I thought were, this is such an exemplary like relationship of what like a loving relationship is supposed to look like, only to then find out like, there's this underneath the surface or beyond the surface. And it's almost like I can do that for what seems like every couple I know. Because a part of me then wondered, like, is there such thing as a healthy relationship? And in your perspective, like, what does that look like?
Yeah. And I love that you said for every relationship I could do that too, because that's the truth, right? What people have behind their doors is their business, right? This is a big issue with social media, right? People are putting all the good stuff up,
Yes.
When you see them on the streets, you're like,
when you see them on the streets at 2:30 in the morning fighting.
But that's the thing. Your relationship, your agreement with this person is yours.
Right.
So we're not modeling it after some heteronormative bullshit, right? What we have with our partner is what we have with our partner.
Yeah.
And whatever that looks like is up to us. So it's healthy in our rules of what healthy is.
Would you say that the healthiest relationship is acknowledging that it's not healthy then? Because I don't think everyone is perfect, right? Everyone's
No
perfect.
one's perfect.
Right.
But like I feel like in a relationship when you guys give and take for each other and try to understand each other, but also acknowledging, okay, we could always stand to work and grow.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I guess, the bottom line of the whole thing. Because you do see all these couples or thruples or whoever online, and what they post is their life. We don't compare ourselves to other people, but sometimes I'm just like, yeah, they look good on paper and they look good on the internet, but I saw them fighting. But also, they're engaged and they're getting married soon, so I guess
Right, and we over here eating a donut single. Like,
yes,
right. So
I'm over here having gummy bears in bed.
That part. So their agreement is their agreement. I do think it can get messy, and everyone does have their skeletons. I think when they pretend to be perfect and ... that's different, but everyone has their shit.
That was amazing. I don't have any more questions, Trey.
Right. We're at final thoughts.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. And please, just the way you speak already, I'm like, wow. Tell people where they can go ahead and get some therapy if they need it.
Yeah.
And any other final thought, but...
Well, for me, this is a pleasure. This is why I became a therapist. To be a black man talking to black other gay men in a space like this.
Thank you.
This is why I became a therapist. But talk about it, right? Talk about it, be about it, live it. I do think in this age of social media and apps, there's a pretense, there's an avoidance. So we want to make sure that isn't our entire identity.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much more to us. So offer that up. I think we're cultivating these parts of ourselves to present, and then we get in front of people, and it's just like, oh. So that's all you got. So my expectation for meeting people is high. It's high. So come talk about it. I'm at Equity Therapy. Equity is the union of Broadway. So we at our firm are a bunch of second career therapists. So we all did Broadway shows. The founder is my best friend. We went to college together. We've done Broadway shows together.
Say their name.
John Carroll.
John Carroll,
my best friend, and he founded this company in 2019, I believe. And it's amazing. We work with a lot of Broadway shows, schools, but we're about the community as well. But oftentimes we feel alone in many aspects of our lives, and all you have to do is communicate how you're feeling, and you will meet one person that is going through the same thing. So understand, in communicating, you will connect with someone and you will not feel alone.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Thank you for we already contribute to the art community. Now you're doing your second career. You're contributing back to the LGBTQ plus community and helping people build relationships and live healthier lives and feel heard. And that is absolutely one of the most amazing things you can do.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate you. Where can people follow you?
That's the key right there.
Are they allowed to follow you if you're...
My clients are not.
Okay.
So
you cannot follow...
they're not my clients, but you can find me.
We can put this in the description, too.
We can put this in the
description.
description.
Okay,
You are a doctor of the House of Doctors. How dare they?
No, this is a pleasure. And thanks for the patience. I know there was a lot of push and pull getting this done, but thank you.
A lot of it was on our end, too.
Yeah. That's why we're sitting in my living room. Honestly, honey, we're going to keep bouncing.
It's okay. We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
We love it.
Nothing going to stop us.
I appreciate this.
So, yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
This is Just Press Play with Ellen Trey.
It's Just Press Play with Ellen Trey. You have watched and tuned into another episode. If you have any relationship questions that you want to have answered, or maybe you just have questions in general you would love to submit and have as a topic of our podcast and show, please feel free to drop us a DM, maybe email us, a comment. We love it when you subscribe, and share on our YouTube. Please
engage with our shit.
Engage with our shit.
Do it.
I always put in the comment in the description. I don't know if you know. It says like it, even if you didn't.
Okay.
Talk shit respectfully, and something else. I don't know. Just
been doing unhinged things.
Yeah. And the internet loves it.
I love that. And also, if you are a brand or a business that aligns with the LGBTQ plus community and you would like some endorsements or some brand marketing, sponsorships are always open, honey. We need it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Let's collaborate.
Other than that, you've been watching Just Press Play with Elle
and Trey.
And and stop.